Happy Friday. In honor of Mother's Day weekend, I thought it would be great to think back on or reflect on the things that our mothers and our grandmothers taught us. And so I'm going to give you a few of mine, and you know I'm always looking forward to hearing a few of yours. So my first one that I can think of straight off would be something my mother taught me, and that was to never go in a man's pockets. I don't know why that's the first thing that I think about, but I think about, a lot of times that is an issue, going in pockets, going in phones, right? Things like that. And a lot of times when we do that, we're looking for stuff. And so she just told me, don't do that. And that's something that I haven't done. But when there's something that I needed to know, the good Lord definitely let me know, and I didn't have to go in those pockets. So that's one good lesson I learned from my mother. One that I learned from my grandmother dates way back to when I was a little girl, probably about, we'll say fourth grade. I was having a little bit of a hard time fitting in. We had just moved to a new state, and, I just didn't fit in. They grew up together, and here comes this little bitty girl, little bitty black girl, chocolate or whatever you want to call me. And they seem to be lighter than me, and I know I never wasn't the only dark one, but anyway, there was a story that we went to this museum to watch or whatever, and I hate this story, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway, right? So they picked, I guess, one of the characters they wanted for us to play out or whatever in this story that they were telling was a tar baby. And so they were about to pick this one girl, and she was very bright skinned. But then I guess I caught their eye because I was very dark skinned, and they picked me, and it just kind of stuck with me for a while. And I had a hard time being as dark as I was. Never an issue with being, who I am or anything like that, but just like, why am I so dark? Anyway, once my grandmother got wind of that, she just politely told me, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Now, in fourth grade, didn't quite understand what that meant. And considering the fact that that was coming from my very bright, fair-skinned grandmother, I thought that held some weight. But the older I got, the more I understood what that meant, and the more comfortable I became with, me and my chocolate skin. So that's just number two. Another thing that I learned, this is definitely from my grandmother as well, is to stay armed. Whether that be armed with great education or armed with some physical means like a knife, a gun, acid, pepper spray, something like that, for self-defense, not to go attack anybody or anything like that, but just to always make sure that you're always on guard. And that's something that I learned from her, and I think I learned that pretty well. Let's see, another thing would have to be strength and independence. I learned that from both of them. Very strong women, and something that I do take pride on, that I feel like I'm strong and I am very independent, and something that I hope that my daughter is learning from me. And then that final thing would definitely have to be how to live for and trust and love on God for myself. Not just get it from what I hear from other people or from the church or from, religion or anything like that, but just to trust Him for myself. And that's something that I do take pride in being able to know. And I love to learn more each and every day about Him. But that comes from that foundation, kind of really from them both, but more so my mom in this aspect, because we were closer in that aspect. My grandmother told me, I know she believed in God, and we went to church with her, or she went with us, or whatever the case may be, or whatever like that. So definitely a lover of a Jesus follower, lover of God, all those good things. But when it came down to talking about it and actually just trying to get deeper, I got that from, my mom. But again, still seeing them both do that just meant that it wasn't just one person, and that it was multidimensional, and I can go, that's something that will pass down to me, and it's not something that's just old and antiquated. But anyway, those are my things that I learned from my mother and grandmother, and I've learned way more. That's just the first, 5 things that came to my mind. But think back on this Mother's Day, even whether your mother and grandmother are still here or they are not here, living on earth or whatever. Still think about those positive things that they taught you, that you can think back on. And this is not just for the women, this is for the men as well. What did your mom teach you, your mom or your grandmother? What did they teach you? Something that stuck with you or is continuing to stick with you? Do share.